In this video, we will go through the steps to set up LDAP server for Laravel authentication. Let's first have a brief introduction of LDAP. LDAP is Lightweight Directory Access Protocol and is used for securely managing users and their access rights to IT resources within an organization. LDAP has three main functions: update, query, and authentication. Update includes adding, deleting, or modifying directory information. Query includes searching and comparing. Authentication includes binding and unbinding users' data. Now let's check out steps needed to set up LDAP server. So first thing we are going to do is we will set up a host name, because the host that we set up, that will be automatically taken by LDAP server setup. So before setting up LDAP server, it's important to set up a host name. Now let's set up the LDAP server. Now during the setup it will ask for a password, and we need to give a password that we will remember. So our LDAP server setup is done, and now we can go ahead and check it using the slapcat command. So here we can see that the DN of the root node is set up as per the domain name that we provided in the first step. And but one thing to notice here is that it didn't take the subdomain name automatically, and it has only taken the domain name. So if you are okay with this, then you can proceed without making any modifications. But if you are not okay with this, then we have an option to update or modify things and customize this DN and include our subdomain name in it as well. So for that we have a command dpkg reconfigure slapd. So once we run this command, it will have some steps involved and it will ask the password again. So let's see how this command works. If you enable this option, no initial configuration or database will be created for you. Omit open LDAP server configuration. So we do want a database, so we'll go for no. Now it's asking for a domain name, and the domain name is already there, but the subdomain name is not there, so I will go ahead and add it. So it's asking for organization name, and again I can do any customization to this. Now it's asking the password again, so this password will override the password that we provided earlier. Do you want the database to be removed when slapd is purged? No, because if you want to preserve the database, even if you want to remove the slapd, then you need to go for the option no. There are still files in LDAP which will probably break configuration. If you enable this option, the maintainer script will move to old database files out of the way before creating a new database. Move old database. I think I should go for yes, because the old database is not needed anymore. So this was the last step, and now if we run the slapcat command, then you can see that the DN has the sub domain name as well of the host. So yeah, so this is how we can configure the administrator details. So this is basically the administrator detail, and now we can go ahead and we can add users and group to our slapd server. For adding users and group to our LDAP server, I will be following this tutorial from step 3. So because the previous steps are a bit confusing, so I won't suggest you to follow those steps. And for these steps, that is from step 3 also, we will make some modifications, and then only we will use these steps. So the first thing is that we need to create a base DN. So let's go ahead and create the file for base DN. And we will copy the schema for this base DN and make modifications according to our LDAP server admin. So first thing is that we will change the domain DC value for domain. So our DC value will be LDAP this is the first component of our DC, and the next is COSB, and the next is .in. If you are not sure, you can just go ahead and fire this command slapcat, and you will be able to find your admin DN. let's get back to the base DN modification. Object class will be organizational unit, OU will be people, again DN will be OU groups, and here we need to again add one more DC component, that is LDAP, and rest of the things will remain same. Object class will be organizational unit and OU will be groups. So this is the base DN for users and group. We can go ahead and add it. To add it, we need to use this command LDAP add with this flags. For now we don't need to understand the meaning of each and every switch used here. We can just go ahead and do some modifications to this command and we can go ahead and use it. Sorry, there shouldn't be this in, and rest of the things will remain same. This is basically the CN and DC of our domain, CN of admin and DC of the domain. And we need to use the password of administrator. So you can see this message adding new entry. So our base DN is created successfully, and now we can go ahead and add a user. To add a user, first we need to create a hashed password, because this password we will be using in our user details. So to create a hashed password, we have the command slap password. You can just copy this and we can I think it didn't get copied. Just keep the password secured, and that's it. Okay, so this is my hashed password and we need to keep it somewhere because we will be using it later on. Now we can go ahead and create the file to create user. So again we will go ahead and do some customizations. So we need to provide a user ID. We can keep the user ID as per our preference. So say I will be keeping the name as iSwitch, and OU will be people because we are creating a user, and again a DC component we need to add. and modify these two components. Object class will be inet org person, again postfix account, shadow account. Cn we can go ahead and change. So Cn will be iSwitch, and which is basically stands for common name, and surname will be remote. These are basically attributes of the user that we are going to create. You don't need to worry about like what's the use of this attributes, but we need to follow some schema, predefined schema, so we need to use these attributes as it's given. We can change the value, but we need to keep the attributes. So here we will use the password that we created earlier. And now we are done. User ID is iSwitch, OU people, DC LDAP, CLB DC in, and yeah, we are almost done. Now we can go ahead and we can create the user. To create the user, we will again use LDAP add command, and some modifications are needed here, like just like before. And now we can go ahead and add the user. We need to provide the password of the admin, and here you can see adding new entry. So entry has been added for the user, and now our user is ready. We can go ahead and add the group same way that we added the user and created the base DN with some modifications. So I will not be doing this now. We can move to the next part, and here they have used LDAP account manager. I won't be using LDAP account manager, and here it's mentioned that PHP LDAP admin doesn't work well with PHP 7.2, but while doing this tutorial I checked that this has been updated, and the new PHP LDAP admin is based on Laravel, and so I have it set up on my system. I will just go ahead and show how it works. Even though it's not working very well, it has some issues, but for user login it is working okay. I was not able to make an admin login, so if I go ahead and fire a command php artisan LDAP test, then you will see that it will work. We need to add the credentials in .env, and we need to, okay, I just forgot one thing, and I think I'll have to create one more user because I forgot. So let's go ahead and create one more user. Because I forgot to add mail attribute for this user. This is very important if you if you want to connect it with Laravel application. Okay, so this is our mail, and we need to change few things, like we will be changing this to Abhi and common name to Abhi, and this to Dev. We will keep the password same, and we will change the home directory. Okay, we are almost done, and we have a mail attribute. Okay, now we added a new user, so 2 user has been added, but the second user is the user which has the mail attribute, so we will use that user's details for login. First we will see if we are able to connect to the server. As I mentioned, you need to add the details in .env, and what details you need to add you can check from the package LDAP records.